Hey Minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on today's episode of Calling All Titans, I'm going to be talking about Dagon, the new Innsmouth Titan. I checked with several pronunciation sites for the correct way to say these words, so I apologize if I'm still saying them incorrectly. Blame the internet. This video was requested by one of our viewers, and I wanted to set the dangerous precedent of giving the people exactly what they ask for. But in order to speak accurately on how I feel about Dagon, you first need to understand how I feel about Innsmouth. I think I am in the minority here when I say that I really like this faction. Yes, they are great for handicapping yourself when teaching the game, but I also play them competitively and do well with them. Where others see flaws, I see untapped potential, and I am very particular about whom I pair with them. Whenever you are evaluating an event kit Titan, you have to consider what problem the Titan is trying to solve with the original faction. In general, I believe the Innsmouth suffer from three major problems, which is different from commentary I've seen from others. First, their overall lack of power is a concern, as their total minion power is 20, 10 less than the standard 30. Second, they are extremely dependent on their actions to give them extra minion plays, because having the extra minions in your hand means nothing if you cannot play them. Finally, they are extremely susceptible to factions with mass destruction cards because they tend to pile on the same base, and single cards can frustratingly undo much of your work. Other problems I've seen cited is the lack of variability of their abilities, as well as the fact that the Innsmouth bury your other faction on the bottom of your deck. I disagree with both of those because one-trick pony factions can work well under the correct circumstances. Additionally, most factions do not have the ability to shuffle your deck. This means that if all of your good cards were in the bottom of your deck at the start of the game, you'd have the same problem. Instead, the locals give you more information about the composition of your deck, though I'm saving that for a separate video. So now that I've identified the Innsmouth weaknesses, what does Dagon do and which problems does it address? I think it addresses all the problems either directly or indirectly, and it does so in a creative manner, and I absolutely love this Titan. Let's look at the specifics. As with any Titan, the first question to ask is how do I bring it into play? There is generally a condition that must be met, and Dagon's is that he must be played on a base where you have two or more minions with the same name. Note that this is not instead of your regular minion play, a stipulation that other Titans have. This is actually fairly easy to do since the locals have 10 copies and can help pull each other into your hand. It is very plausible that Dagon will be out in turn 2. Dagon's next ability is that you get +1 power for each minion with the same name as another minion on that base. Smash Up could have easily said for each locals on this base, and I would have been happy, but this ability actually applies to all minions with the same name. In the context of the locals, when there are 2 or more, they become 3s effectively for free, which is like playing the deep ones in localized form without losing your action. Dagon also has a talent to play an extra minion, which has 2 subtle benefits. Again, I would have been happy if it said play an extra locals, or play an extra minion here. But it has neither of those restrictions. Dagon is an enshrouding mist that is not tied to any base, which is amazing. This greatly reduces the impact of never seeing Sacred Circle or spreading the word, and frees up your action to play the deep ones for extra power. Previously, it was hard to do an Innsmouth big drop without an extra action because you would play all of your minions in one turn, preparing to play deep ones next turn. This signaled to your opponents that you were planning a big play and gave them an opportunity to counter it. Dagon fixes this problem by freeing up your action while also letting you complement those actions to get all of your minions out of your hand. This also makes Return to the Sea much more potent. If the locals can average grabbing 1 other locals every locals played, then Dagon lets you play 4 power every turn with just your minion play. One quick note about Dagon's power boost. The fact that Dagon has the power, but not the minions, is significant. Since your locals are still power 2, they can still be protected by in plain sight and still receive the power boost from the deep ones. It would have been crippling if Dagon undid some of the Innsmouth abilities, so thankfully this Titan did not. So Dagon has covered the power boost and action dependency, but what about my third weakness, that they are susceptible to mass destruction? I believe that Dagon solves this problem indirectly because of its talent. Previously, the power-starved locals needed to pile on one base for multiple reasons. First, Mysteries of the Deep requires 3 minions with the same name on the same base to activate, so this incentivizes a dogpile strategy. Second, Sacred Circle requires the extra minion to be played on the same base. In Plain Sight only has 1 copy and only protects 1 base. So how does Dagon solve that? Obviously, factions still have to have weaknesses, and Dagon cannot solve every problem, but because you can play the extra minion anywhere, you can start approaching multiple bases simultaneously. This is how you get maximum effect from the deep ones, since you can now target minions on 2 bases. Also, by increasing the rate at which minions are played, you give your opponents less time to play their counter cards. You may force them to play them early, knowing that they may not get another opportunity, which removes the counters and your minions, but significantly less of your minions. By spreading out as well, you reduce the impact of destroy all on a base cards that were the nemesis of locals previously. There aren't many cards that target multiple minions on separate bases like Cannon does, so this strategy can work. Obviously, Dagon provides a significant boost to the Innsmouth, but last week I showed how the Fairy Titan, Spirit of the Forest, did not do much for other factions. How does Dagon help partner factions? It's still significant because of the ability to play an extra minion anywhere. In fact, the power boost is really just icing on the cake. The extra minion play anywhere would be amazing by itself. What factions benefit from extra minion play, besides everyone? The magical girls unfortunately suffer a bit by trading their Titan for this one. The extra minion play works great with their minion count abilities, but only the Rainbow Girl would trigger the other bonus, and you only have 2 copies of them. You would also lose out on playing Walking Castle most likely. So factions we should target should probably be Titanless, and I'm reminded of my Blossom video for big drops as good candidates. A card like War Raptor that can easily drop 8 power on any base, and 10 power on the Dagon base obviously provides a lot of value. I would refer to that video for a lot of suggestions since many of those factions don't have Titans. However, I think Dagon creates some other new synergies. The Disco Dancers also have decent card draw, which complements the above average card draw of the Innsmouth. This will let you collect your divas faster. You can play all of your divas, then return them all with I Will Survive. They can also copy the effect of Return to the Sea. The rollers react well to the deep ones, as 2 rollers can be played on a turn for 4 power. Dagon grants 2 power, and the deep ones grants 4 more power since their abilities trigger. Getting your minions out faster also makes Last Dance more potent, and the locals make a great sacrificial lamb. One of the disadvantages of Titans is that there could be only 1 out at a time for a given player, but Dagon's extra minion play can create an unusual opportunity to switch Titans. If you are playing Ghosts, the Ghost Titan Cream Puff Man requires your hand to be empty. This is hard to do, but Dagon can help you get rid of your cards faster to go crazy on one base, and Dagon will be removed from play. You could activate your Ghost abilities by getting your hand low, breaking a base to remove Dagon from play, and then finishing emptying your hand on your next turn to bring in your Ghost Titan, who can replay powerful Innsmouth actions. I really like the idea switching between a Titan that is easy to play and a Titan that is harder to play but with very powerful abilities. I think it's reasonable that it would not be difficult to bring Dagon back again after Cream Puff Man does his job. So do I love Dagon? Absolutely. This Titan is really going to turn the Innsmouth around and spotlight their great card draw and burst opportunities. The job of an event kit Titan is to address a faction's shortcomings, and I believe the Innsmouth got exactly what they needed. As I stated earlier, I would have been perfectly fine if both Dagon abilities specifically referenced locals. It would have been incredibly thematic. But the fact that they did not is very welcome and greatly increases Dagon's value. Well done, Smash Up. Does this Titan change your opinion about Innsmouth? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.